All right, let's not waste any more time because there's a lot of running backs to get through, and it's going to be tough to get through them all. So let me share my screen here. And here we go. I think you guys can tell me if I'm wrong, but I think I've got them all in here right now. Maybe I can I move this? Let's see. Still trying to, it's kind of too hard to see that way. All right, we'll do it like this. First guy up. Chuba getting extended. Yes, this was perfect timing to do this with the Chuba news, I thought. So perfect timing to discuss this. All right, let's go with the first one, Christian McCaffrey. So we have our top tier here. This is a top 2 round startup pick. Remember, this is dynasty value, not redraft, all the way down to guys that are barely worth owning. Okay, that's kind of the range that we have right here. So Christian McCaffrey, for me, he is not a top 2 round startup pick for me anymore. With his age, when you consider the injuries, all that kind of stuff, I wasn't willing this past year to take him in the top 2 rounds. I was willing in the beginning, mid third. But at this point now, I'm definitely not willing to take him that early. So for me, he's kind of in that second tier, not that top tier for me. So I'm going to move him down a spot. He's going to be there. I don't know. Any of you guys in Dynasty, would you be willing to take him top 2 rounds of a startup? I don't think you would, but curious, or equivalent value of trades today. My guess is I don't think I'm going to get too much pushback on that unless somebody thinks I'm talking redraft. I got a Bijan, Derrick Henry, and Achane backfield. Ooh, that's a pretty nice looking backfield. I mean, you can't be upset with that. That's for sure. Dan, probably no pushback there. So shouldn't have too much fighting. He said, I'm probably not even drafting him at all. I know. I almost considered here, but it just feels a little disrespectful at this point. Derrick Henry. I'm gonna go here, kind of middle of the road. We know he just does not have much time left. He's been so good. This would be super flex. So yeah, top 2 rounds for super flex. He's been so good. It's tempting to put him here, but I feel like there's kind of a tier of running backs that I'd be willing to take here that he would not be in. So I'm going to go this middle tier here. We'll see. I might be willing to move him up and down as we go. Ryan says firmly disagree. Would you move him up a tier? Ryan, would you put him here? Or maybe even here? I couldn't go here. That means you're taking him like 3rd, 4th round of a startup. I don't think I could do that. At least 1 tier higher. All right. I might move him up. But for now, I'm going to leave him in this spot. All right. Kyren Williams. Oh, man. Which tier does he belong in? Oh, man. It's a tricky one for me. He's been so good and he's still so young. I'm going to put him in this tier for now. Man, I almost want to move McCaffrey down a tier, honestly. I almost want to move him down a tier. I don't know that I can, though. All right. Let's move on. Let's move on to James Cook then. I'm going to put James Cook kind of in this in-between tier. I think he's like the perfect epitome of a guy that needs to be in that range. Caden, don't get married too much to the blocks as far as being rounds. Roughly, sure. We're top 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, anything after 12. Roughly. but don't get too married to that. But yes, roughly is what we're looking at. So I would be willing to take Derrick Henry in like the 7th to 8th round is where I'd be willing to take him. Man, honestly, I might move McCaffrey down one. I'm doing it. I'm moving McCaffrey down one. I'm going to leave him at the top of it. But I think that's the good question, Ronnie. Like, how many more years do we have with Christian McCaffrey? How many more years? 1.5, maybe? And we still don't know exactly what he's going to look like coming off this Achilles tendonitis. I think I got to move him down a tier. I wanted to keep him up there. It feels disrespectful putting him here. But I think dynasty-wise, I would just have a hard time taking him. Like, I feel like I would take Kyron almost every time here. Almost every time. All right, let's go with DeAndre Swift. I feel like Swift fits nicely in the same tier as Derrick Henry. Ryan saying, I don't know, and I'm not sure he knows either. And one XOXO saying, yeah, he agrees with moving him down. All right. I think that's fair. All right. DeAndre Swift. I think DeAndre Swift is a pretty safe one to put in that tier. Kind of in the prime of his career right now. Probably got 2, 3, at most 4 years left out of a DeAndre Swift. So yes, we have Peaches. We have not talked about the Chuba payday. We are absolutely going to be doing it. Ryan saying Swift, blah. Swift, I mean, when you look at the past few weeks, though, he's put up 4 straight weeks of really good play. Tristan saying, I'll take CMC in the 30 points per game. Is he still a 30-point per game guy? And how many 30-point per game games does he have? That's the hard part. I think it's the unknown. Carson, I probably should put Jordan Mason on here. I don't have him in here at the moment. We just already had so many running backs go over. There's a few here that just automatically got put in that are going to be moved down pretty low. But let's go to James Conner. James Conner, I got to put here. His days are numbered. He is his contract's up after this year, and he's been good, but not elite. And I think Trey Benson is coming. Caden saying top tier, Achane, Gibbs, Bijan, Brees. We will definitely be getting to that. Against bad defenses, I don't believe in Swift unless he gets receptions. That is a big part of his game. XOXO, I have a super contender, and I mentioned my backfield earlier. I've been offered Algier for Chuba. I love Chuba, but what do you guys think? Probably not. I would probably hold Chuba at this point because it looks like he's going to keep getting the work. And I get Algier would be the Bijan handcuff, but even in that scenario, Chuba's probably going to still put up similar numbers. We will always respect CMC, and to be honest, him and Derrick Henry have been rock stars. Don't feel like we're disrespecting Derrick Henry. I think that's all good moving him down a tier. All right. Is he, Ryan, I agree he's better. I don't know that he's that much better. I'm not sure that he is. And we know that he gets banged up a lot too. So, and we could say that about anybody. If anybody had a few more touchdowns, they would move up quite a bit. So, it's tough. All right. Najee Harris. Najee's going to go here for me. I know that he doesn't have quite the same like high-end production, but he's been pretty solid this year, and it's an offense that's been doing a little bit better. So I think that's a good spot for him. Brian saying, what do you think of Vidal? Worth a hold. I have someone offering me Coker, Baker plus 2 fourths for him. Would you make the trade? I would. I'm not a big Vidal guy. I think J.K. Dobbins has pretty firm grasp on that. I get it. He's a free agent, but if the Chargers don't re-sign him, they're absolutely drafting somebody in a very good draft class. So I think that's a good time to get out from a guy like him. XOXO, I will never roster Najee. All right. Let's see. Next up, we've got Joe Mixon. He's tough, but he's been so good too. So I think he's got to go in this tier with these guys right now. Uh I don't know. I don't think I'll get too much pushback. I think that's kind of the tier he belongs in. I think we've got 2 more years of Joe Mixon. So Eli, that would be easier. That would be easier for sure. Carson just got offered Mason for a 27-second. I have both CMC and Garendo already. That's fair. That's fair. Uh, I don't know. I don't love it. Don't hate it. I think it's fair. Mixon having a career year, absolutely. I think that's a fair tier to put him in. This tier's getting crowded. I think David Montgomery's got to go in this tier as well. He's just such a solid player. I know it's mostly on touchdowns, but the touchdowns are there when you look at guys in that range. Like the Lions they score points. So we've got to kind of put him in that tier. I don't think he's quite up in the next McCaffrey and Cooks tier, but I think that's a good tier for him. Mostert, I'm gonna put in this tier. His days are numbered. His days are numbered. Yes, he had an amazing year last year, and he is getting some touches. It's not like he's not getting any touches, but I think he's got to go there. If I were to order this tier, it would probably be Montgomery first, Henry, Swift, then Najee is probably. I'm going to try my best to keep them in like close order. Don't like hold me to it. I will be updating because of the Chuba news. I will be updating my rankings today. Ooh, Travis Etienne. Woo. I have no idea where to put Travis Etienne. Man, I'm not a big Etienne guy either. This might be a hot take. I'm gonna put him here. I think he's gonna be in a committee. I think he's gonna be unreliable. And I don't know that we get another top 18 season out of Etienne. I think I'm putting him there. Feels a little hot takey. It does. Seems like you guys are okay with this. Eli's not an Etienne guy. Ryan saying that he's cooked. Tank, it depends on the price. If I'm getting Tank for a second, sure. But I have some other young running backs that I do like a little bit more. And Etienne's going to still be around for a whole nother year after this year, which is going to make it kind of annoying. Should Etienne and Najee be in different tiers? For me, I think so. I would rather Najee. I think at this point I'd rather Najee. And he's also going to be going potentially to a different team next year. Whereas Etienne's going to be stuck in this timeshare. Never been any big ETN guy, but I'd buy low if the price is right. All right, let's get to Tony Pollard. Pollard feels like another one in this tier for me. I'm going to put him ahead of ETN, but he's kind of another one in this tier for me where he's a little bit older, got maybe a year. Seems like you guys are good with this overall. Ronnie's agreeing. Eli's agreeing with this tier. Ryan loves Pollard, though. Would you move him up? Would you move him up a tier? I could see him going up a tier, but right now I feel okay with him in this tier. Rashad White, people are going to hate me for it. He's going here though. He's going here. Bucky. I don't know if I have Bucky either. Oh, I gotta add Bucky. Bucky is somebody that I would add for sure. Bucky Irving. Definitely got to talk about him. Let's see. Save image. Bucky. All right. Let's go ahead and add him then here. Let's add Bucky. All right. We'll get to Bucky then too. All right. Andrew doesn't hate me. Whew. All right. Yeah, he's been having some okay weeks, but like 3 carries this past week. I'm not trusting that. Ooh, we've got a fun tier here. Breece Hall, I'm gonna put up here. I feel okay about it. I don't know that I feel great about it, but I feel good about it. I'm gonna put Breece there. And I'm definitely putting Bijan up here. I'm going to put Bijan ahead of Breece. I would take Bijan ahead of Breece right now. 4 straight weeks of 20-plus points. Feels like they figured out the ideal workload for him. He's been getting tons of passes. So I think I'm going to be good with Bijan ahead of Breece, but we'll see. It is close. Barkley. Ooh, where does Barkley go? I think I'm going to put him here. I think I'm going to put him a tier above these guys. He still has another year or two below the McCaffreys and the Henrys, a year or two younger, and he's been so freaking good in that offense. So I think I'm going to put him here, kind of the second tier. I think that's the right spot to put him overall. Gibbs, going to my tippy top tier, baby. Tippy top. He's going to go between Bijan and Breece Hall. I would take him as the RB2 of this group so far. See if we add anybody else to that top tier. But I'm going to put Gibbs at number 2. Ryan saying Kamara should go in the Kyron and Barkley tier. I don't know. I don't know that I can put him there. I don't know. I think he's going to – we'll see. We'll talk about it when we get there. Kenneth Walker, this feels like the perfect tier for him. He should go right with James Cook. Would I take him above both of those guys, though? I think I would take him above Cook. I don't know that I would take him above McCaffrey at this point, but it is close. Oh, guys, we have a special guest. Special guest joining us here. He might be on the phone. Now, let me give him a second. But as soon as he's off, we'll add him in. We'll get one more guy. This is the perfect guy to get to talk about as soon as our special guest joins us, because we have Chuba Hubbard that we've got to discuss now. Chuba Hubbard. Woo, what tier to put Chuba in? He's been really good. And he's still fairly young, but he's going to be splitting time with Brooks. I'm going to put him in this tier. I think he's going to be in this tier for me. It would be awesome to have Chuba Hubbard as the special guest. That would be pretty elite to be able to be like, oh yeah, Chuba. Mostert tier, Ryan. Mostert tier. Have you seen this guy this year? I get that he's going to be sharing some time, but woo, man, I don't know. That seems really low. I could see. This does feel a little high, though. Should I maybe move him to the top of this tier? I don't know. That one's really close for me. I could see it going either way. All right. I think this guy is ready to go. Oh, nope, he's not ready to go. I lied. So we'll take a couple easy ones here. We're going to go he doesn't necessarily have to be better, but he has to produce more. And I think he's going to produce more. Pierce easily going there. We've got Ford going there. And we've got Gus Bus going there. I don't think anybody's going to give me strong arguments. I guess you could maybe move Ford up, but I think all three of these guys probably deserve to be in this bottom tier. I don't see him going anywhere up. He said, unless Brooks is a bust, I don't see how Hubbard succeeds. I don't know. He's been succeeding though, man. He's been succeeding. It's tough. I definitely can't put him in that tier. I could listen to this tier or this tier. I can't put him in this bottom tier. He's been too good. He's been too good. But I get it. He's going to be the most controversial. Ostert, I don't know if he's saying 100% that that's the right tier or what, but I man. That's true. We have seen Chuba produce in a committee, but it hasn't been a committee with Jonathan Brooks. That's going to be the big question. How does it look with Jonathan Brooks? Ostert agrees on the bottom tier guys. Yeah, I barely worth owning. Like they are worth owning. They're decent backup type guys, but man. Josh Jacobs. Ooh. Jacobs, that's a tough one. We going here or here? I think it's got to be one of these two tiers. For me, I think I'm putting him a little bit above these guys. I'm going to put Jacobs in this tier. A little bit younger. I'm probably going to put him at the back of that tier. Or should I put him ahead of James Cook? I think I would take him above Najee, I think, every time. Ryan agrees with this one. Jacobs, Rod. Jacobs is great. Okay. I think that's the right spot for a Josh Jacobs. So I think that's pretty good there. Now let's get to this one. Y'all might love this one. Thoughts on Jacobs over the next couple years? Yeah, I think he's got 2 or 3 more years. He signed a pretty good deal there in Packers land. Marshawn Lloyd, the guy that potentially they drafted as like a future guy, hasn't even been able to stay healthy. So, Achane, baby, we're going up to the top floor. And at this point, I'm taking him above Brees even. I'm taking him above Brees. And honestly, like I want to move him up even higher. Even higher. I would love to move him up even higher. I don't know that I can, but I'd love to move him up even higher. All right. Zach Moss. Oof. I guess this tier. I don't know. He's been injured too. I almost want to put him like at the top of this tier. I don't know. What do you guys think? Should I move him up a spot? I think I'm gonna leave him there. Yeah. With the injury and stuff. He's worth having, but not by a lot. Anthony's saying, don't be afraid, Garrett. Move Achane where he belongs. I know. I want to move him above Gibbs. I really do. He's so good. He's so freaking good. Warren, I think he's above that tier, but I don't think he's in the ETN Pollard tier. I think he fits pretty nicely in this like second to last tier. Oh, you want to put Achane above Bijan, or which one goes to the very tippy top? Which one goes to the very tippy top? Javonte, you know how much I love Javonte. Think he still deserves to be in this tier though. I can't put him in this one. I gotta stay there for him. JT in the place to be. I think he's in the second tier, but I think he's at the back of it at this point. I think he's in the back of it. Ryan, what are you saying hell no to? Which one has you so upset? Is it Javonte? Because I would still easily take Javonte over all of these guys. I would take Javonte over all these guys. What's the pause to not move Achane ahead of Gibbs? The reason I have not done it yet, Ronnie, and I'm really, really close, is Gibbs deserves to maintain his spot until he shows that he doesn't. And he's all but like one game put up over 14 points. So that's the thing for me. Like he seems pretty solid, pretty steady. Like no reason for him to go anywhere. So I'm going to leave him there. JT still got it. I agree JT still got it, but like where else do I put him? Where else do I put him at this point? Landon, yes, I do agree with that. If David Montgomery got hurt, Gibbs is the undisputed RB1 overall. I do agree with that. But you could argue the same for Bijan if Algier got hurt. Can't produce without Tua, and I agree to an extent, but if Miami gets a better backup, he should be okay. I do agree with that. Taylor is still producing. I agree, but he's now in the prime of his career. He's in his second contract, so he's not super young anymore. And those other two guys, Kyron and Saquon, are producing better. Both of those guys are producing better. Kyron's younger. You're saying after Brees for sure. Yeah, I can't put him in the top tier anymore. I can't put him in the top tier. Exactly. He's 26. All of these guys in this tier are under the age of 24. There's no way I would consider drafting Jonathan Taylor in the top 2 rounds. I would not. And I like Taylor. I'm team Jonathan Taylor. I am pro Taylor. Especially on our podcast. I am the highest on him. I just can't put Jonathan Taylor up there. Can't do it. Oh, I think our special guest is ready to go. Guys, welcome to, I don't think it's his first ever live, but it's one of the first for sure. Dynasty Rich. Rich, how's it going, buddy?
How's it going on this Thursday live show? This might be my first live show. I'm not sure. Maybe we'll see.
It might be your first one because I think you've done Talking Dynasty with us, but I don't think you've ever done the live show.
Yeah, I don't know if I've done the live show. I think it was a different live show I've done before. So not the Dynasty Nerds live show. It looks like you're out here breaking down tiers of running backs, huh?
Yeah, Rich. Any that you want to fight me on so far?
Chuba
was a tough one for me to rank.
Who?
Chuba Hubbard. He just got that contract today.
Yeah, he's an interesting one too. Like I was thinking about, I was like, shit, I got to go in there and update my Dynasty rankings.
Yep.
And I really do like Jonathan Brooks, but that's serious money. 2 years guaranteed too, for the most part.
Right. Right.
So
Tristan said, somebody get the bleep button ready.
There's two that are I don't know, man. Saquon and Philly, I think for 3, if we're looking at running backs in hashtag 2 to 3 year windows, I think there's a strong argument for Saquon to be up there with Breece Hall. If we're looking at that kind of window, right?
So would you draft him? Because kind of how I have it set right now is that top tier is guys that I would rank, or I would be willing to draft in the top 2 rounds of a startup. Would you be willing to draft Barkley up there?
So the top 2 rounds, if there was a running back run, I mean, he'd be the next running back off the board. I feel way more comfortable with Saquon there and over Kyron and Jonathan Taylor pretty easily. And I know what Kyron's doing has been good. But he's also just very dependent on that, on all those carries. I mean, he's getting almost 100% of the carries out there in LA. And that team. I don't know how that team's going to look in 2025 and 2026. And if I'm looking, and again, I always look at my running backs in that 2 to 3 year window. So
For sure. I'll at
it's
least
pretty,
move him ahead of Kyron.
yeah, I guess it's pretty close for me on there. And again, if I'm looking at running backs in 2 years windows, I would still put Christian McCaffrey in that Saquon tier, because if I'm on the clock and I'm looking at Jonathan Taylor and Christian McCaffrey, that's really tough. I know the Achilles tendonitis, and I don't know much about that long term. I guess I understand why to be in that tier. He's 28, but like a healthy Christian McCaffrey is giving you 25 points per game. So that's one.
If he's the same guy, I don't know. And that's the part that it always worries me a little bit. Like, how much does it crop back up? It's in both Achilles tendons, not just one.
Yeah.
Like, that scares me, man.
And you're right. Yeah. And I guess if you're looking at this and you're ranking this today, which is, I mean, that's all you can do from a fair point. Like, look at where are you today, looking at this from a dynasty standpoint long term. I guess it's better safe than sorry with the Christian McCaffrey then. I think Kenneth Walker should be considered. I know some people might not agree, but I think Kenneth Walker is kind of like I guess I wouldn't say inch closer to Jonathan Taylor. I think Jonathan Taylor is inch closer to Kenneth Walker, if I put it that way. Kenneth Walker's been very efficient these last years. Yeah. But at the same time, that tier you have it there. Like, I guess the way I look at it is I'd probably feel more comfortable if Saquon was probably in that top tier. Okay. Tyrone Williams was almost in his own tier, and then like the rest of the guys were all in the same tier. Because like there's no difference between Jonathan Taylor for me and like Kenneth Walker, James Cook, and I'd probably bump Josh. I'd probably move Josh Jacobs down. I mean, Josh Jacobs just hasn't been overly efficient. You know what I'm saying? Like, he hasn't been like a dynamite running back. He's been a solid guy,
solid. But like
running
back two.
And then if you're looking for a 2 year window, like, is there any indication that the Houston Texans aren't going to bring Joe Mixon back next year? And would I rather have 2 years of Joe Mixon or 2 years of Josh Jacobs? And to me, that's pretty clear on what Joe Mixon's done out there in Houston. So I think Joe Mixon and Josh Jacobs should be right by each other. I'm okay with James Cook and Kenneth Walker being right by each other. I think Christian McCaffrey is in a tier of his own, because I would take, again, obviously you got to put these guys in bundles. I would take Christian McCaffrey over all those guys every single time. And I think I would just move Saquon Barkley into that. Because if he doesn't go, either Saquon's going at the very end of the second. It depends how, like, is this Superflex tight end premium?
Superflex tight end premium.
Ooh. Yeah, that probably pushes Saquon to round 3 then, I guess, the way it would all play out. Because those receivers would go, the quarterbacks would go. Yeah, okay. So for the most part, it looks pretty good. Yeah, I mean, you're cherry picking here. That's what I would be doing. I would just be cherry picking.
What about ETN? Was I too harsh with ETN? He's in that 5th tier.
Yeah, I mean, until he gets back on track, yeah. I mean, he's in the 5th tier. There's nobody there I would take ahead of him whatsoever. Really, yeah. I think it's totally fair, because you're getting that gamble window, right? Like, man, I hope this all works out pretty good. Either you're old, or it's just a gamble of, hey, you're not producing at a high level, really. You know, like Javonte Williams. Like, do you feel comfortable with Javonte Williams long-term in Dynasty? No whatsoever. Do you feel comfortable with James Conner, even though he is efficient long-term? No. So I could live with those. I could definitely live with those. You be splitting hairs otherwise.
All right. Let's go B-Rob. I'm thinking B-Rob is probably the Javonte ETN tier.
Yeah, because I would take Brian Robinson over Javonte Williams.
I might right now too. I might take him over ETN even. So
kind of seems like Javonte is somewhat getting phased out a little bit, doesn't it? Like, it seems like
it's hard, because like 2 weeks ago he had like a 25-point game.
Yeah, I know, it's weird. The whole situation there is, and
Denver's tough.
And yeah, with Sean Payton, the way he utilizes running backs, it's always going to be a murky situation unless you get somebody who's in like an elite tier. But even like Alvin Kamara there, or those high end running backs, it's always been a 2 running back system there, whether it be Reggie Bush, Pierre Thomas. Like, it's always like that 2 running back system there under Sean Payton.
All right. Alexander Madison, I think, fits pretty nicely with these guys here. I don't see much difference between him and Rashad White and Jalen Warren and Raheem Mostert. Like, he fits pretty nicely there, right?
Yeah, he's a guy that you want to be a backup and not the main guy, because he's going to get probably more carries and be more efficient that way.
Yeah. Alvin Kamara, where do you want to put him, Rich? We were talking about him earlier. I've had people say that he deserves to be in the Saquon tier. Other people that think, he's just too old. He deserves to be 2 or 3 tiers down from that. Where are you thinking with Kamara?
For me, for Kamara, I would probably put, he's right up there in, I think, that tier 2. And it's easy to
You think he's 2 up here?
Here's the thing.
I was leaning here. Personally.
Okay, well, I'm definitely taking him over Josh Jacobs. I'm probably taking him over James Cook with Ray Davis being there. And here's my thing on Kamara. Like, the biggest negative you're going to put on Kamara, who's literally been a running back one going, it's going to be 7 years straight now, is because he's older, right? But like the way he wins and how he looks is, he's really going to win in the passing game. But he's also efficient in between the tackles at a high level, but he can still get it done. He has those games. And the fact that, the Saints just extended him and gave him some more guaranteed money, and that this team is already starting to shed salary, and they're over the cap, and they don't have a lot of contracts they could even work with. They're going to need a lot of help from Derek Carr. Like, they're not bringing anybody else really in here. They might draft a running back, but like, it's still going to be the Alvin. Like, they're going to need to sell tickets for it, like something on offense. It's going to be Olave when he comes back. But it's going to be Kamara. Like, he's the best offensive asset they have. So I think for the next 2 years, you're still going to get a high level player here. And with, like I said, like Ryan says here, with no depth at running back, it really comes down to like who do you think will be more productive over the next 2 years, Jonathan Taylor or Alvin Kamara? I mean, that's a legitimate question, right? Like,
it could be very close. Yeah,
I'm taking McCaffrey over Kamara for sure. Kenneth Walker and Kamara are going to be pretty close, but yeah, right. I'm definitely taking Kamara over James Cook and Josh Jacobs. Okay. So I think right around there is fine, and that shows you some pretty. That tier is a really good value tier. Like, if you fade running back, I feel really comfortable in a super flex league. Like, if I miss out on that tier 1, kind of shows me like I'm somewhat okay miss out on tier 1, and like grab a couple receivers, grab a tight end, grab my 2 quarterbacks.
That tier 1 though, they're so young.
No, I agree. I mean, it all comes down to how the draft plays out, right? Like, I would take Achane over Gibbs.
We were debating that. Like, should he go above or not? The hard part about Gibbs is he's only had 1 game under 14 points all season. He's just been so consistently good.
Yeah, but Achane's averaging 28 points when 2 is in. So it's like, take those points and double it. Like, like David Montgomery just signed an extension. So like that's a combo you're getting no matter what. Is he still efficient? Yeah, 15 points per game, which is fantastic, right? Because you have consistency. You're feeling really good about that. But like for me, like I'm choosing, definitely with Mostert off the team next year, almost 95% that's going to happen. I'm taking the sky's the limit on Achane there for sure over Gibbs. So it,
all right.
But again,
all right, you talked me into it.
I understand it. I understand what's what and why it goes there. And again, you're cherry picking here about who's your guy, and I'm okay with that. But going back to what I was saying about like when I want to grab Garrett Wilson, I want to grab one of these young receivers, Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison Jr. Like I feel like, and that's what it comes down to. You're asking your question, like what receiver do you want compared to
running back?
These other, these running backs. So you want like receiver X. I don't know who receiver X would be in those kind of tiers. And Alvin Kamara, James Cook, Kenneth Walker, Christian McCaffrey, or do they have like Achane, or do you have like Garrett Wilson, Malik Neighbors, and Christian McCaffrey is what I'm kind of saying. You understand what I'm saying? Like that's always kind of look at things like how do I want to, like how's the combo between the rounds like come through? Like
right now, you might be able to get Marvin Harrison Jr. in that range.
Yeah, for sure. So it's always like, again, I'm grabbing a quarterback in the first round. Anyways, like I'm a quarterback guy early on, and I would wait after that. But I mean, yeah, I think these
we
tiers
moved
are
him, Ronnie.
good.
We moved him up.
Listen, builds are different, right? Everybody's gonna build their team different. So
for sure,
it's just me. Like when I look at running backs, I'm considering the first round. Like honestly, like for me, Breece Hall, Achane, Bijan fit that category. I wouldn't take Gibbs in the first round. Would I consider him in the second round? Yeah, probably. But Gibbs is the one guy for me, man. Like the fact that Montgomery's there, it's hard for me. Like he's the running back. It's hard for me to pull the trigger on a guy like that when there's other guys
I
around
get
him
you,
that
but
I
he's
feel very
just
comfortable.
so good
No,
every
I agree.
week.
I agree 100%. But like, those are the kind of running backs like I would rather just come away and grab Joe Mixon and have him for 2 years and try and draft other running. Like again, what I try to do in startup Gary, is I try to put myself in the best position when it comes to rookie drafts, where like I'm mostly looking to grab running backs, right? Like I try to always like if I get good running backs when I go to sign a second contract, I try to trade them away for first round picks and like players plus or other players that I like. The closer I can get to where like my rookie drafts, like I'm really focusing on running backs, like the better I feel like my dynasty team is, because that's my plug and play position, and it's my quickest way to constantly stay on top and stay a contender, right? Like really good core of wide receivers that are 22, 24 years old, I can plug and play for the next 5 years, and then keep building on that and keep trying to like use my trade market to keep that going. And running back, like you said, we did a study. Like it's just as equal good to have one of these run backs as it is a good receiver. But it always comes back to me also, like it's way easier to find the running back to plug and play than it is to find the receiver to plug and play. That's all.
It's easier to find the older running back to plug and play. I do agree with that.
Yeah, but like I can live in those windows. You know what I mean? Like again, I mean,
there's also so much depth at receiver. Like there's so many good receivers.
Yeah, but I want high end.
So few.
Yeah, but there's a different price market. There's a different market to go grab a high end young running back receiver. It's harder to get. Like the price market's the same, right? To grab a young receiver and a good running back, right? Like you're right. There is a lot of receivers, but there are not a lot of stud young receivers. There's not a lot of those guys. So the market share is still like you have the same argument either way. There might be more young receivers, but you also start more receivers at the same time, and they also have the longest place like life shelf for the most time. So it's
all right. Let's hustle through because we've got a lot of kind of like meh guys. So Rich, for the next few here. No, you're good. You're good, my guy. We've got a few like meh guys. So like any disagreement on Algier, that feels about right for him.
Yeah, these are all just bottom of the roster guys you put in flex weeks. Aaron Jones, I would put up
maybe like next to Connor.
Yep. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Aaron Jones ahead of James Conner, so yeah.
Zeke probably barely worth owning at this point.
Barely worth owning, yeah.
Eckler probably here, right?
Yeah, who?
Algier, Madison, Jalen Warren, Rashad White.
I'll put Eckler ahead of. Honestly, I would take Eckler ahead of Javonte Williams. So.
Oh, so you think he deserves to be here?
Yeah, for the style he wins. Like those are the running backs you can expect to hopefully be on a roster for 2 years. Like,
but the problem is he's just scored so few points this year. Like,
yeah, you're right. I'd put him right ahead of Mostert. Like he's so borderline, right behind Javonte. But again, like going into 2025, who do you feel more comfortable with, Raheem Mostert or Austin Eckler for 2025? Right, like, it's a muddy situation.
Yeah, it's flip a coin.
I'd probably drop Javonte Williams down a tier.
No, I'm not allowing that. He stays put. All right, Ramondre Stevenson. I think he fits in this tier, but probably at the top.
Yeah, agree.
Okay, because I don't think I would take him in quite this tier, but it's close though.
With the deal there too, he's got a couple years in that team, so I'd put him right there. It looks like a good spot.
Okay, all right. AJ Dillon barely worth owning.
Yeah.
Khalil Herbert barely worth owning. Zach Charbonnet, probably the second to the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay. Probably towards the top of it though, just because of age.
Sure. Yeah. Because he's got such a clear path to put up good production. If Kenneth Walker goes down, and with his oblique injuries and consistent, like how he always gets bangs up, he's probably right. Yeah, the very top of that tier.
Okay. All right. I feel good about that. Ty Chandler probably here. I mean, you could put him somewhere in there, but
I mean, he's barely worth. I mean, yeah, you're not cutting him, but
should I move him down a tier?
I would, man. I think Minnesota drafts a running back.
Okay.
This year.
All right.
Like a good running back.
Spears on the upside, I think he's got to stay in this tier here, somewhere in here.
Yeah, I would still draft not ahead of ETN, but ahead of Javonte.
Okay, we'll put him there. Zamir, he might
Dude,
almost be in the barely worth owning.
barely worth owning.
I hate that. It makes me sad, but
Yeah,
it's
scored a
true.
touchdown last week to tie his. I think that touchdown might as well equated to his total scored points on the year. Thanks for the 6,
Yeah.
buddy.
Yeah. Miles Sanders, he's going there. Donta Foreman's going there. Oh, that was Singletary. I thought this was Pierce. This is Pierce. Singletary probably moves up a tier. I just realized that.
Yeah, Singletary goes up a tier. Damian Pierce, you can put him at the lowest level possible.
Is this Keaton Mitchell? Who is this?
Looks that way. My vision's not that good.
Might be Keaton Mitchell. He's going to go in the barely worth owning.
Barely.
Kareem Hunt, I think for now, just because he's in Kansas City and he's been producing.
He consistently every year finds a role on a team. He's patient, finds the right spot, goes out and produces, and he shows he still can produce. I think he's still only like 28, 29. Like he's not, I don't know how old Kareem is, but he's got to be like, oh, he's getting older. But yeah, still worth like he's a great stash to have just for this. Like I'd even probably put him higher than maybe not some of those guys. Okay, that's a good spot. That's a good spot.
Okay. All right. Justice Hill, probably at the very end of the second to bottom tier.
Yep.
Okay. Roshan Johnson, he's probably got to go in the barely worth owning, right?
I think so. I mean, yeah. I mean,
somewhere in here.
He's done nothing to make me excited.
Yeah.
I mean, flowers. Do something.
Elijah Mitchell's got to go there. He's just always hurt. I love Jamal Williams, but he's in this tier now too.
Yeah.
Cook's in this tier. What about Nick Chubb? What do we do with Chubb? Javonte tier?
I think so because I'm still chasing that upside, like the hope that he comes back. Like you would still trade for Nick Chubb, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I think he belongs there.
Put some respect.
Cam Akers. Uncle Lenny's still on this list somehow.
League, dude. He's not even in a league.
J.K. Dobbins. What are we doing with Dobbins?
I'm putting J.K. Dobbins.
I think in the Najee tier, right?
Yeah, in the Najee tier for sure. And like I would take him over Najee. So,
what about probably over Swift?
I would take him over Swift. I wouldn't take him over Mixon today.
Okay.
Only because, like, again, to be safe with JK and the uncertainty of where, like, once he, like, until he signs a contract that's worth anything,
right?
Like, it's too uncertain. Like, the biggest, like, if he signs a 3-year extension with, like, say he signs the Chuba Hubbard, right? Deal.
Yeah.
Then if he signs a Chuba Hubbard deal, like, I'm taking him probably, like, him and Josh Jacobs are pretty much equals to me. At that point.
So one guy I just realized, and somebody put it in the comments, Chase Brown we don't have in here. So let me get Chase Brown. Let me get him added to the list because we do need to put him somewhere. I know neither one of us are the biggest Chase Brown guys, but
yeah, I mean he's looking at these last couple of weeks. I still don't love him long term, but like, I mean, right ahead of Tajay Spears. I did move on my dynasty ranks.
Did you? Yeah, I think the Tajay range is a pretty good spot for him.
That's where I would put him.
No, I have no issue with that. I think that's about the right spot.
Yeah, even if he puts good production up just for the rest of the year, that juice is worth a squeeze. Like,
yeah,
I feel happy about that draft pick.
Yep. Zach Moss is down here, Christian, right there. Isaiah Pacheco. He's been out this year, but he's been pretty good. I think Najee.
I know, man. It just comes back to that. Listen, that report out of his mouth, Josh Jacobs, that the Chiefs really tried hard to sign him.
Yeah,
just tells me that they don't like. I don't think he's long. I think he's just.
You think he goes here?
I think he's a good running back in a really good system, and I think the Chiefs draft a running back next year to replace him. I think the fact that they went after Josh Jacobs and was willing to pay Josh Jacobs, I feel like they're a dynamic. They can really use a good rookie running back, and he's going to go there and be that guy. So to me, Pacheco falls in the category like he's such a mystery. Not with the upside, right? Like he has the upside, to produce. I don't like
Yeah.
if he doesn't come back this year, which it's not looking like extremely likely, right? For help you in fantasy, like I really don't know what his value is. I really don't. Like he could easily go to a guy that's barely worth owning, like that kind of like situation. So there's no. I would take Nick Chubb probably over Isaiah Pacheco. I think he's too much of a wild
Really?
card. Yeah, I mean, I would take Aaron Jones over him. I would take James Conner over him. I just don't think there's. If my gut feeling is right, and that the Chiefs draft a running back. This is such a good running back class. Such
It
a good
is.
running back
It absolutely
class.
is.
And there's more good running backs than teams that need running backs. The Chiefs need a running back. They do, regardless of Pacheco. And the fact that they already tried to sign Josh Jacobs tells me that they think that all going into the year and Pacheco is efficient. So
All right.
don't.
You talked me into it.
I don't believe in his dynasty value. I just don't anymore. Like I don't. I wouldn't draft him. Like he would have to be like glaring value for me to pick him because I almost feel like he's a waste of a draft pick. Upside. Like
Caden, I see what you're saying. I understand. The difference is the draft capital between the two guys. Yes, Josh Jacobs was always underrated, and Pacheco so far in his career has been underrated. So I understand the point, but the difference is the draft capital. That's what makes the difference.
And again, I don't even understand why they extended Chuba Hubbard. Like this, like if we know a dynasty players like how deep the running back class is, NFL GMs got to know how deep the class is, and they have to be able to go out like understand they can go get these guys, young fresh legs. It's the model of the NFL today. And I know we pivoted when it comes to fantasy football production to running backs. It's just I don't know, man. I just don't. I don't see it.
Rich, do you even know who this is? Is this Boston Scott? Like who is this?
Is it Kenneth Gainwell?
That's not. I don't think that's Gainwell. I don't know who this is, so he's definitely going in the barely worth owning.
Yeah.
What do we do with Jonathan Brooks now? Does he go in the same tier as Chuba? Probably.
Yeah, because
I don't know who the leader of that group is.
His tape was so good, and he's not going to give you anything this year, man. But just like Tyrone Tracy overtook Devin Singletary, I don't know how. I mean, Chuba Hubbard's looked pretty damn good too, though. So, yeah, put him right there, I guess.
Okay.
Who's the guy? Ramondre or Jonathan Brooks? Who would you rather draft?
Man,
I want to take the tape. I would take Jonathan Brooks. I would still gamble on it that he could overtake and be the guy. Like his tape was that good.
I'm going to go with the contract and go with the fact that there's nobody else there. So I'm going to
totally
stay
fair.
with Ramondre.
Totally fair. I would leave it there. That's fine.
Ray Davis, you're a big Ray Davis guy. Where are you putting him? Ahead of Charbonnet, like right around there?
I'd probably put him right ahead of James. Either right ahead or right after James Conner is where I'd be looking to take him. Is that Tony Pollard behind him?
That's Tony Pollard.
Maybe right behind Tony Pollard then, right around there. Brian Robinson. Maybe right, yeah. Behind ETN. Yeah, probably behind ETN. Definitely ahead of Pacheco. Yeah, probably there. That's a good spot.
Okay. It's a little high for me. I would probably put him personally with Charbonnet, but
okay.
I get it.
You know what? And that, you know what? I mean, it seems like his usage is getting a little bit more here and there, like
it
over
is.
two, and he's been so efficient, like to the point where like, but you can easily see them extending James Cook as well because how he's play. He's a mystery play. I would be okay with him like anywhere you want to put him, either there, behind Nick Chubb, behind Zach Charbonnet. I'd be just as okay because Charbonnet has been so efficient when he does get in the field as well. Yeah, Ray Davis is a mystery card because like he falls in that category. Like the player itself is a very talented player. Like he's pretty good. Yeah. It's just like where's opportunity? And when it comes to running backs in these short-lived windows, like how soon can you get the opportunity and how many touches are you going to get? Because it's just touches, man. Like we're looking at touches, and where does Ray Davis fall in this category? And unfortunately, yeah, you're right. He might fall to the back end of all those guys. Honestly, the more I'm thinking about it, like
he's similar to like Spears in that sense, where like the talent is there, but the opportunity is just not.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good spot. I think you have a good spot.
Okay, all right, we'll leave him there then. Few more. Tank Bigsby. Where are we putting good old Tank? Here's the biggest question: is he ahead of or behind ETN?
I would put him right next to ETN.
I think I'm putting him right next to him, but ahead.
Okay. I mean, with that fifth-year option picked up, I'd probably still leave ETN over Bigsby.
Would you? Okay, all right. I can live with
it.
it.
I mean, again, we're splitting hairs. Like, You're getting this like it's like what's your flavor? Like I had to be on the clock and see where I was. Hopefully, I'm not even putting in that kind of position. Like, but at the same time, like, okay, let me put it this way: you're on the clock. It's a late draft. All these other running backs is gone, right? You're sitting on the clock and you see ETN there, like, wow, ETN's still on the board. Oh, I'll take that gamble for the guy who's running back. You know what I mean? 3 overall. Like all of a sudden now, like it's easy to poop on ETN and be like, doo butter. But like if you're in a startup and ETN's there as like the 15th running back on the board, you're like, oh, look at me, I'm getting great value. Like I promise you, everybody would be real excited about ETN at this spot. Real excited.
Rich, I'm about to be slightly irresponsible with these next 2 picks. Okay. We've got Trey Benson and Tyrone Tracy as our next 2 guys. I'm going to put I'm about to put Trey Benson like towards the top of this tier.
Ooh, you're going to risk it for the biscuit.
How irresponsible is that?
I don't know if I would take him ahead of Joe Mixon still.
Okay. Would you put him in this tier?
Dude, Joe Mixon has been so good in this offense, man. And he's under contract for next year. It makes no sense to get rid of him whatsoever. Like, I don't know if I could take – like, I would feel much more comfortable knowing I'm getting Joe Mixon for 2 years compared to, like, what the upside of Trey Benson is. And I like Trey Benson a lot. But if I was in a startup, I don't know if I could pull the trigger. Because definitely where you draft running backs, right? Like, at this point, you're drafting this guy to be your running back too. Like, that's risky. I believe.
What about there? What about right behind Dobbins?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Like, I would rather get him on the upside of Trey Benson than DeAndre Swift, sure. Like, and again, you're splitting is which way you want to go. And Tyrone Tracy, oh yeah, do it, buddy.
I'm doing
it. Oh yeah,
I'm doing it. I'm putting him in the 3rd tier. He's been so good.
He's doing it good.
He's been so good. Like he's shown everything I've needed to see. He's catching the ball. He's running the ball. He's got good vision. And this offense is slowly improving. Like, I feel like he's got to go there.
I have no – yeah. He falls – like, when you're talking about Trey Benson and Tyrone Tracy, he's the player that I would rather overdraft and be like, if it misses, like, okay, because the upside's there, right? Like, and you've seen it on tape. Like, again, Trey Benson hasn't put on NFL tape yet. Tyrone Tracy's put it on NFL tape. Right? The explosion, the burst, the vision, the hands on a team that's doo-doo butter. So, yeah, I'm all – like, these are the kind of players – again, he's 24, so you got to take a step back. If Tyrone Tracy was 21 years old, he would be boy, would he be significantly higher. But the fact that he's 24 and it gives you that 2 to 3 year window, like legit lucky. If you get lucky and he's a stud, you get 4 years out of him. He runs out his whole rookie contract, right? And you run him that way, but I think that juice is definitely worth the squeeze, and that's the gamble I'm rolling with, right? Like it's like you're playing blackjack, and you got I don't play blackjack, but like hit me.
you got 18, and you're saying hit me.
No, it's not even 18. Like you got like 15, and the dealers show in. This is bad.
We're not good at this game.
He's like in poker, and like you have 10 jacks suited. Right? Like you really like that a lot. Like, because it could be very dangerous. And at the same time, it could be absolutely nothing whatsoever once a face card comes up. But boy, do you like that hand a lot. At least I do. So, yeah, I like Tyrone Tracy there. And if your initials are TT, that's a little bump for me.
All right. Jalen Wright feels right about here.
I would take Jalen Wright over Zach Charbonnet. I would take Jalen Wright over Ray Davis. I would take
Really?
I'm taking him over. Honestly, I would take Jalen Wright over Isaiah Pacheco.
So you're willing to move him all the way up to Bigsby range?
Yeah, because listen, the tape was good. The offense is great. They traded a 3rd-round pick next year to go get him, so they still like the player. It's not like he's been an absolute turd, bogus player out there. So pocket aces for TT. I like that too. But listen, Jalen Wright, the upside of Jalen Wright is so high in this offense, paired with Devon Achane that, and they run a 2 running back offense system there too, for sure. And it's proven to work. So there's no difference between having Achane or Gibbs and David Montgomery offers the upside. Gibbs and Montgomery upside to Achane, Jalen Wright upside that I am looking for. So I think Jalen Wright is a gamble. Honestly, I would probably take Jalen Wright over Tony Pollard. Just me. over James Conner even. I would take him over James Conner. That's me.
I can't
I'm
move
higher.
him up much further.
Okay, he's in the same tier,
him.
so we're fair. We're on the same level. But I personally, for everybody that's watching, for anybody that respects me, and anybody that hates me, I would take Jalen Wright higher.
All right. Let's get to Blake Corum. Blake Corum, I feel like here.
That he's Zach Charbonnet.
Yep. Okay. Last but not least, what are we doing with Bucky?
You got to put him up there with
Tank.
I would rather have Bucky Irvin than Brian Robinson. I'd rather have Bucky Irvin than Tony Pollard. I'd rather have Bucky Irvin than James Conner.
What about Jonathan Brooks?
Man, that's close. Tape's better on Brooks, but Bucky's got a clear path. I would definitely take him over Aaron Jones too. It's
okay.
That's a good spot. Pick your poison.
It's a good spot.
Yeah. Listen, that's why you have tiers, man. Like, so it's just one day you could ask me this and then ask me the next day, and as long as it's in the same tier, then it's kind of say a wrong answer because you're just picking your flavor of the day.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I like lemon lime ice cream, and sometimes I like strawberry ice cream.
All right, so a couple people aren't sure where some guys are. Here's J.K. Dobbins here in this yellow tier. We've got Tyrone Tracy all the way up here in this light orange tier. Brian Robinson down here in the lime green tier. All you amazing people. Appreciate it. Yeah. So some of these guys are still in their old jerseys. It saved me time having to go through and download a picture of every player. They have a lot of these already available for you, so you just take them and run. But I added a lot of the young guns that weren't added to the group. So, Rich, dude, thanks for joining me today, man.
Well, for sure. This is fun. I'm glad I got to dive in and have this conversation with you. These are fun. I never did this before, like the tier maker thing. It's pretty fun.
The tiers are fun. The tiers are really fun.
Have you already done other position groups?
I did quarterback last week. I'm going to be doing receiver and tight end the next 2 weeks. So if you want to hop back in, you're more than welcome.
I am going to try and make it happen because I like this game.
It's a very fun game. It's a very fun game for sure. So appreciate all you guys hanging out with us over lunchtime today. I'll be back next week, Thursday noon. But just to let you guys know, I'm starting to do a crazy amount of AMAs on TikTok. We are really making a big push on TikTok. So make sure you're following us on TikTok. I'm answering start sits, trade questions, things like that. Rich and I are about to bounce here and do the Nerd Herd show. If you are not a part of the Nerd Herd, what are you waiting for? We are about to get to the playoffs. You need to know where your team is at. You want to make sure you don't miss any starts in our lineup optimizer. Our lineup optimizer is going to make sure that your lineup's looking pristine. I made the mistake a couple weeks ago of not using it. And did I miss two guys that weren't starting in my starting lineups? Yes, I did. And if I would have used the optimizer like I should, I wouldn't have done that. So appreciate you guys. Make sure to be part of the Nerd Herd, and we will see you next week.